Welcome to Bourbon of Proof. This is a show where we talk about those who have made it in law and life, and we do it over a series of conversation and, more importantly, bourbon, whiskey, and scotch. I bring three, my guests bring three. We talk about them, we drink a little, and we educate you on how we became successful. So today we got on Charles Liu, one of the most successful attorney entrepreneurs on the planet.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
Is that a New Jersey accent that I hear?
That's Scottish.
Oh, really? So we're gonna pretend to be Scottish on this whiskey show?
It's very diluted. And just for your information, yesterday was Burns Day.
What is Burns Day?
Burns Day is our national poet, our Scottish national poet. So you are probably familiar with Auld Lang Syne. I'm sure you sing it in a drunken haze every single New Year's. That was written by Robert Burns.
The only one I know is beer before liquor, never been sicker. That's the only one.
That is not Robert Burns.
Not Robert Burns?
No.
Well, let's see if you can tell the proof. This one is actually 126 proof.
Wow.
Yeah, so this one's a Booker's. This one's called Beat Biscuits, a special edition. So
Okay,
you try this one and you see if you can.
See how we do?
Prost. With Salandra. That's the
There we
Irish
go.
one. Tell you what, man, you don't taste it.
It's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
for 126
For
proof.
126, it's very good.
That'll put some hair on your chest, maybe not
Yeah.
your head though.
Not my hair. Speaking of which, how do people face you across a courtroom? I mean, just the hair and the beard is intimidating.
It's intimidating,
It is very, I'm a little intimidated.
Yeah, I mean, I get that sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're gonna make a good joke.
You're like a young, handsome Kenny Rogers.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, so you're on the board at Loyola Law School, you're a lawyer, but you do some cool entrepreneur shit other than that.
I did.
Right?
Yeah. I didn't really ever practice conventionally. Started out of law school being a bouncer and a bodyguard. Came back to LA and
So Jason Statham was doubling for you? Is this something we do?
Jason Statham was unavailable at the time, so I had to step in. In all fairness, I was about 270 pounds now, so much bigger than my current somewhat waif-like figure. But yeah, so never really super conventional. Actually, the first item of law, if you will, that I ever did was an arbitration because we had a dispute over a lease that my partner boss had entered into.
Mm-hmm.
We won that arbitration and he actually gave me a piece of the bar, and that was my first
So you
bar.
really want a piece of the bar?
I really want a piece
Sounds like
of
a
the
really
bar.
cool card game.
Oh, look, it's perfectly fitting with this entire setup. So yeah, so that was actually my first bar. My first bar restaurant was something we won through an arbitration.
I grew up, my Italian grandfather's Sicilian owned a bar, McKee's Rocks in Pittsburgh. Man, that's how I got my first tattoo across the street.
Really?
On Island Avenue, shit.
How old were you?
I was 18. Day I turned 18, I went over there and
Nice.
got a tattoo.
Nice.
My grandmother took one of those wire brushes and said, try to scrub it off.
Didn't work.
No, that was my Irish grandmother. And
So I got my first one at 16 that I just got removed with a fake ID.
the butterfly one on the small of your back?
Yes.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Which didn't even look like a butterfly 30 years later. Literally, but kind of like a morph butterfly, like he just coming out of his cocoon
Oh, I like
in a
that.
weird way.
Very
Like a moth
Very
rat.
Kafka of you.
Yeah, like a bad Godzilla. So
That was my second tattoo, was a phoenix.
was it?
Yeah.
Do you still have that?
I still have that.
Oh,
Actually, I
is
didn't
it
know.
lower back?
No, upper bicep. Just as cliche. Actually, the next thing we need to do, I need to have a tattoo party. We had one of these once where we had my tattoo artist come into our firm and he did like 8 in a day for everybody and it was
Nice.
awesome. Yeah.
We should go get a tattoo together.
I would do it.
All right.
I mean, I would do it right now if we had the means.
So the firm.
Yeah.
Really didn't want to practice. Profoundly mediocre law career in law school, and didn't really like the conventional practice. Came out and again did an arbitration that won me a piece of a bar. Opened multiple restaurants and bars off the back of that one. Somewhere around 2008, 9-ish, we really saw a need for entrepreneurial-based law firms. So what I mean by that is there were a lot of business lawyers who had never owned a business, which was always really...
You're looking at one of them. I mean, shit. You start your own firm and you're running your business. People don't realize that. You're a startup company.
You're a startup company. You're the truest definition of a startup company. And if your COGS and your prime costs aren't aligned and you're not considering occupancy costs and all the other things that we would sit as a business person and consider, you're really running yourself into a wall at a high velocity. That was always very interesting to me, that the business lawyers had never been businessmen. So saw a space there and capitalized on it, and then over the past decade have expanded on that, which now interestingly has morphed into a much broader practice, still catering to startups and entrepreneurial-based law, but intellectual property over the past couple years has become a huge topic as we see a transfer of brick and mortar was traditionally the unit of wealth, right?
Yeah.
And now we're sitting and we're all talking about digital wealth.
There's your digital space wealth.
All digital space, right? So now we're going, how do we protect that digital space? And that's
how many restaurants are you part of?
So pre-COVID, 14, we lost 2 in COVID, but we've opened another since COVID, and we've signed 3 leases in the past 3 months.
All right, so what do you got here today? Talk about the...
So this is perfect. I brought you 3 Scotch the day after Burns Day. So we're gonna pretend that today's Burns Day and we're gonna honor Robert Burns.
Love it.
Who is a Baird of Scotland, the Bard, if you will.
I know all about bards, dude. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons.
Did you really?
Oh, dude, I have a gaming company. I haven't even talked to you about this.
We didn't talk about this.
Before this, we'll talk about that.
You know, I was the biggest Dungeons and Dragons nerd.
We're coming out with an entire interface where the DM gets to customize the experience, drop in maps, all automated. Yeah, dude, we're in the beta phase.
I used to travel around Scotland and play Dungeons and Dragons competitively.
Bro, we have
the
to talk
nerdiest
more.
thing I've ever heard in my life, yeah.
Lawyers are huge nerds.
Yeah,
because we're creative brain people. Okay,
exactly.
let's pour this and talk about it.
So what are we talking about? So here's what I did. This was the plan. I brought 3 Scotches.
Okay.
One I know you've had, the Macallan 12, right?
I'm sure I have.
Total classic. Yeah. Everybody's had it. One of the best
and you're
Scotches.
you're like Macallan direct. You're like
ambassador. I work with them. We're opening a Scotch Macallan spiritual home in downtown right now. Spiritual home, which basically means we will get all the Scotches, all the Macallans that no one else gets. So you will have to have a locker there.
Done.
All right. One that you've had, the Macallan 12. One that you may have had, the Peat Monster.
I've not had these other 2.
Oh.
0.
Perfect. So the plan with the Peat Monster was you may have had it. The plan with the Edradour was you haven't had it. Peat Monster, second peatiest Scotch in the world. That may have shifted somewhat recently, but was the second peatiest Scotch in the world after Octomore.
Pour one of these. Let's go.
Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna start here.
The Peaty Pete?
The Peat Monster. I'm gonna pour this because you're a monster.
Okay.
You're a legal monster. This is a Peat Monster.
All right, we shall see. I'm usually a Ryan weeded bourbon type guy, so.
Well, this is gonna be a treat for you. Cheers.
Song.
What do you think of that?
Wow, that is really good.
Awesome, right?
I mean, look how light that is compared to the last one.
Yeah.
I'm transferring to my bone.
Okay, I got it. I like that. The Viking Cup.
The Viking Cup.
I love it. Most of the time they try to make an overly peated Scotch, you lose all the other nuances. Peat Monster I like because I feel like it retained a lot of other nuances. It's a great Scotch. So the focus of the law firm was, there was a lot of lawyers who were business lawyers, but very few business lawyers who actually owned or ever operated a business. And that always seemed quite peculiar to me, that someone would be giving you advice strictly based on the legal aspects of the law, without really the operational process and procedures or understanding of how a business operates. You mentioned earlier, a law firm is a business. A law firm is every bit a startup business. If your costs aren't aligned, if your occupancy costs aren't aligned, if your marketing isn't in place, you're going to fail. It's just your widget is your customer, and your customer has to make sense, right?
And the product is you, but you got to be able to scale that product.
Which is another huge problem because there's only one Bob Simon.
Yeah, right? But lawyers don't get that.
They don't get it. They don't get it. And it's very hard to replicate yourself. And that's not to say you are perfect, but it's just you are you. So it's very hard to replicate you, so the customer, client gets used to you.
And people lose sight of of that, like they're ego monsters. Both lawyers are, right? But they want to be, I got to try the cases. I got to be the A1.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, why not train everybody else at your firm to do the exact same thing? That way you're not the only friggin' product that you're selling. It's that never made, and it's been extremely successful, obviously, but I never understood why people didn't think like you do. But I think that's why, because most lawyers don't understand business.
Justice HQ, by the way, greatest idea.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, what I think is incredible is your execution. I mean, when I walked into Justice HQ, I was blown away, and I can say it's very, very seldom that I walk into a finished product and get blown away.
The one thing you do not skirt on is you do not skirt on media and presentation. You pay for what you get.
Sure.
Pay for what you get in your lawyer, pay for what you get in the media, right? So we have one of the co-founders, Teresa Deep, has been visionary.
Of Justice HQ.
Oh yeah. Me, my twin brother, and Teresa. So it's been more about let's make everybody what they should be. Lawyers should be their own brand, their own self.
They should. Lawyers have never understood branding. Like, think about it. If I say to you, give me a lawyer in the United States right now, how would you respond?
The civil rights activist, which has been huge lately, Crumb. He's been representing all the victims. He's awesome.
Awesome.
Johnny Cochran is probably the last, like.
Johnny Cochran was the last superstar lawyer.
Yes.
The last, but Avenatti was close. Like,
yeah, but he was a crook.
Okay, fair enough. Cochran is the last superstar lawyer.
And he was a great human, great lawyer, great trial lawyer, great orator. And I don't think he even meant to brand himself and to do it until after a few years.
Well, I don't know that you could even intend to brand yourself when he branded himself, right?
That's true.
He branded himself by being, as you just mentioned, an incredible lawyer, an incredible orator. But there was no like, let me like snap a picture from this angle. This is my good angle. Let's get on.
Like there's so
everything. Branding for lawyers.
So I mentor a lot of kids in law school with all these things, and I tell them, you're always one case away from retirement if you so choose.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So why aren't you putting yourself in a position to do that? Where I grew up, I knew no lawyers other than the guy on TV. Most people are like that. So if you put yourself out there, you brand yourself correctly, if you get that case, that's all that matters.
The best part to me, I often think about it as an entrepreneur. People always say, oh, you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. And I'm so careful to avoid that nomer because I go, there's no barrier of entry to an entrepreneur.
You know what it is? It's the new, I'm a producer. What are you a producer of?
Well, and this is the whole point. Everybody says you're an entrepreneur, and I say I'm not. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I was never homeless. I never slept in my car. I never had $8 in my bank account. I've had close, and those were never defining moments, right? So it's like entrepreneurs.
Do you think entrepreneurs have to have a rock bottom?
Yeah, well, the entrepreneurial story, the narrative always has to, because without that narrative of this phoenix emerging from the ashes, what are you?
So the next one I'm going to show you right here, it's called Smoke Wagon. 57%, so it's 115 proof, but a lot of flavor. And this is, you know how whiskey and spirits do different things to you?
Yeah.
This one fucks me up. And like I can drink this high proof one this year, this Booker's all night, have 6 or 7.
And you're okay.
Yeah, I'd be okay. This one I'll have like 2. My wife's like, why can't you talk?
But you still try.
Well, I still try.
You keep talking. So, cheers.
Cheers. Different taste, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they're dead on. Like,
awesome.
it is awesome. I've never heard of this until about a month ago. A friend of mine, April Bonifato, sent it to me in Vegas. Another lawyer. She's another lawyer. Her fiance is like, I think he's a federal agent, but like big whiskey guy. So we talk all the time about, she's also in Justice HQ. She's in Las Vegas, but she's a rock star. She's like, you got to try this.
Love that.
Yeah, so tell me about you're a lawyer on the board at Loyola Law School, but the projects you have outside of law.
So the idea behind the technology apps, it was how do we take businesses that have been somewhat stymied in their evolution and their growth and accelerate them. H-Harmony, I like to call a litigation mitigation application. What I did. You want me to say that again?
Mitigation.
Application. LMA. Yeah, so what H-Harmony was is essentially, the little tagline is creating a harmonious employer-employee relationship. Employers are oftentimes the last one to know that there is a problem at the workplace.
I agree,
right?
100%.
So what we decided was, what if there was a very, very simple application, 8 questions that popped up on your smartphone twice a month when you got paid, and the questions were truly as simplistic as, were you injured at work? Did you experience a hostile work environment?
Oh, that's a good, I mean, that's a good idea.
That's it. And if you say yes, it opens up an additional window. You have the opportunity to explain it. Now, what that does is it puts the onus on not only the employer to respond, but also the employee to report.
But it keeps it on their radar.
Exactly.
I mean, I think we have maybe 60 to 70 employees, and right, you're not on the pulse of like
no, you can't
everything
be.
that's
we
going
have 400 employees.
Yeah,
I can't be, right?
Yeah.
But I can look at this, and anytime one pops up, yes, I can say what happened, and I can look at it and say, oh, he was injured at work, and I can see what happened, and I can make sure that we followed particular protocols and mitigated
But you know what,
litigation.
that brings back a lot of the personalization of the entire hierarchy of the company, right? I mean, you can go back and be like, hey, you're the CEO, but like, I mean, I just don't want to ever feel that disconnect as you scale and grow your companies with everybody that works there.
And that's hard.
Yeah, it is hard, but it can be done. Like I've loved the Zoom world.
Yeah.
Because we try to do like weekly or bi-weekly check-ins. Like once a week I try to talk to like lawyers or then the paralegals just to make sure that everything's happening, or to do a mentoring thing. But this would not exist. Like I could not, in the workflow environment, go into my office and then do this. So like, just have like 20 people in a conference room and then talk about this. It's inefficient.
It just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the interesting thing about that, to your point, is, and I don't remember exactly where I read this. I read very often. And
Wait, you read?
I do.
Like more than monosyllabically? Is that how you say monosyllable? Oh.
It was close.
I told you, man, that Booker's no joke.
I like that. I like that. Like, this is
We
going
are
to be
number
an
3. We
exercise
gotta
in
get through
veracity
6,
and
so
truth
we're not
after
even-
a couple more. I love this. What I was going to say was, I read, and this you could definitely.
Wait, you
figure out.
read?
I do.
More than monosyllabically? See, I remember.
I like that. I like the little matrix thing there too.
Yeah. What matrix thing?
One of the most determining factors whether or not your employee will sue you. Do you know what it is?
Whether they like you.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the same thing with lawyers and doctors.
Yeah,
Bedside
which is
manner.
so interesting, right? So I was thinking about that, and I can definitely say unequivocally that there's been managers of mine who have acted in a amoral or an unscrupulous way, and they probably wanted a lawsuit against my entities, and because of the fact that I had a very good relationship with the waiter or the waitress, they came to me and said, hey, you need to know about this. I didn't get the letter from the scavenger plaintiff's firm saying, hey, we want money. I got the call from the employee saying, hey,
That's
you
where
need to
it
figure
should
this
be.
out.
Like I had somebody reach out to me yesterday. I mean, they screwed her over bad. But like her mom didn't want all this litigation to do those things. And I was like, look, let me just ghostwrite an email from your mom to the company, smooth it over and stuff like this. But sometimes lawyers, I mean, you probably see this with the ego thing, is they want to go in and it is like,
it's the worst.
yeah.
Like we
man.
go in with chainsaws when a scalpel is needed.
Yes.
Right?
I'm stealing that.
Please.
Is this on tape? I hope not, because it's stolen.
We do, but that's all. The problem is that a lot of lawyers were Dungeons and Dragons kids when they were young, and they weren't cool with it. See, we were obviously very comfortable with our Dungeons and
To
Dragons.
hack and slash.
Yeah,
To hack and slash.
of course. Well, but that is the remnants of what is often, I believe, a rough childhood. I've had too many lawyers that I've ran into that were the loudest voice in the room, and that speaks volumes about who they were when they were younger.
You're up, bro.
I'm up.
Go.
All right, we're gonna go Macallan 12.
Go.
I can't say enough about this company, and it's not because I work with them. It's because Macallan to me is the quintessential Scotch. There's a reason why Macallan is kind of the standard for Scotch. And again, without going into a bunch of boring. To me, it's just the finest production Scotch coming out of Scotland.
So
Cheers.
props, what do we say? Solange, cheers.
And I brought the 12 just because everybody likes to throw around 15s and 18s and special editions, but this is a 12 and it stands up to any Scotch worldwide.
That's good.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, there's, I I mean, bourbon and whiskey, Scotch becoming so overpriced for what it actually is. A lot of these ones. So like the Whistle Pigs, love them all. But I'll take the 10 any day of the week.
Yeah.
The price points of these other ones. I mean, Boss Hog's amazing. I mean, I'll drink that 30 times over. Then you get ones like High West, like 30 bucks. Freaking amazing.
Which I love.
I love High West. It's amazing.
Love it.
We're trying to do a barrel deal with them actually. Love to,
You should
but it's
tell
hard
me.
to find.
Well, we can help you with that.
Oh, let's do it.
All right, let's work on that.
Okay.
So where were we?
I don't
Lawyers.
remember.
I'll tell you a funny story. So I used to represent Wu-Tang Clan, who
The Woo,
Yeah,
the RZA, the
yeah.
Jizza, the Ghostface
So I
Killer,
repre-
Inspector Deck.
Yeah, so I represented the Swarm guys and some of the other individuals on their solo albums, but it was really interesting. There was a point in time where I had a very contentious phone call with an individual, a lawyer on the other side, and he made a very funny comment one day as things got very heated. And this is back in my larger days. I'm 240 pounds. I've competitive fought multiple times, and he said, if you were sitting in front of me right now, I'd punch you in the face. Which you can appreciate, right? No, he really did. He said, if you were sitting in front of me right now, I'd punch you in the face. And I said, I'm looking at your picture online, and I promise you, if you were sitting in front of me, you wouldn't punch me in the face. So long story short, we resolved this little adversarial situation. And as we met for the first time, he took me aside and he said, just so you know, I probably wouldn't have punched you in the face.
Dude,
and
check
I thought,
this out. You're a Loyola grad?
of course.
Bro,
Gotta always rap Loyola.
look at this letter I got July 25, 2007.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah.
Read that shit.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Way. No fucking way.
Yeah.
That is incredible. But look, that
But it shows
without
you.
saying the names attached, I'm not super surprised.
A lawyer that's like, oh, I'm the best lawyer now, and he'll tell everybody he's the best. Sends a first-year lawyer a letter saying, you will never work in this town.
Oh,
Because that's what's-
when did you get that?
Dude, 2007.
Oh, amazing.
I was a 2-year lawyer.
What a great letter.
And I called that guy out for cheating a long time ago.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I took him to the mat, and we won. Like, that was my first binding
Of course you
arm.
did your bub sign.
Yeah, dude, I crushed that guy. But I've been saying forever, man, this dude's dipping his hand in the honey jar, and people wouldn't listen, and now we see what's going on. But he wrote that letter, and I saved it from
Yeah, I love that. But that letter is a perfect example of the problems with our profession. And that's also why we did HR Mini. It's also why we did another company called Hello Esquire. It's also why I started a company called ESQRX, which is a vitamin supplement company for lawyers, ESQRX. So cognitive support, our first product we're rolling out is a brain supplement for lawyers.
You should talk to a couple of my neurosurgeon buddies, because they swear that there's a way to get you into the zone.
Oh, they're 100%. I've been a rat, like a lab rat for these formulas that we've been working on for the past 120 days. And there's definitely been some formulas that I took and I thought, we can't use this. But I always joke around, ours is one of the only professions that you could ever imagine that has not grown in 400 years.
It has not evolved.
It's not evolved in 400 years, right? Short of the fact we don't wear wigs. You don't need one.
You know what's funny is
obviously.
we have an Irish barrister at our firm, and he brought his wig over, and
how
it's
is
in his
that?
office. I mean, it looks like some sort of organism from Alien.
Sure, like it could crawl away.
Yeah, we're still waiting for it to crawl away. But man, he's got some rad stories from Ireland.
Sure.
But shit, dude, it's so archaic.
Well, think
the
about
entire
it.
thing.
400 years ago, you could walk in a courtroom, and short of the odd outfits and the wigs, the law practice would be very similar. Now, imagine any other business in the world. Imagine going to get a surgery, and the person saying, "Hey, we're going into a surgery stadium, and they're going to saw you with this, and don't worry about anesthesia. We're going to knock you out." This would be appalling.
Bro,
right?
did you know that the LA County court system was on DOS until 4 years ago?
Oh, that's amazing.
DOS.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And now they're finally figuring out all these court systems. Oh God, you mean I could do virtual appearances?
Right.
Dude, I mean.
Right. Well, that was really COVID prompted
Yes, it
that,
was.
right?
But
Which is
it
unbelievable.
forced it to evolve. And
Right.
we talked about this for a long time, you and I.
Yeah.
When I talk about Justice HQ and your HR app, these things we talked about, you got to embrace the digital world.
Right.
And it helps your clients because you're not spending all this other money and time doing other things, efficient solutions. But man, I wish they taught this stuff in law school.
I wish they even started in high school. Right? This is something we're thinking through right now. As you sit and you talk about high school, and I can tell you the capital of countries that I'll probably never go to, but I can't tell you how to
Capital
balance a
Iceland.
checkbook.
Capital Iceland.
Reykjavik.
Nice. Actually, it's my turn, right? I think so. I'm gonna go with the lock, stock, and barrel 18.
I love that.
Another one hard to find. Another trial lawyer gave this to me, Macallan. We call him the plaintiff whisperer.
The plaintiff whisperer.
Dude, he is, by the time they're deposed, it is like opening up their heart. But yeah, he gave me this bottle, and I drank it, I think, that day. Because I've never had the lock, stock, and barrel 18. But another one over 100 proof. So this one was 115, 126, and this is 109.
At the end of the night, did we do an exchange of whiskeys and scotches? Because
That's what you want to do. That would be cool.
I would love that. Let's do that.
So my wife built me a whiskey room in my house, which is fingerprint to get in, which is really cool.
Ah, very cool.
Although she didn't anticipate that my twin brother has the same fingerprint as I do. God, that little, I still think I'm gonna frame him for murder one day. But
Yo, I like that. What about an exchange at the end of this?
this is cool. I think we should do this.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we'll exchange all of these.
Yeah, we just
These are
swap
good.
them. Straight swap up.
This one is one of the most pleasant ones I've ever found.
That blew me away, by the way.
yes.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm excited to try this, but I've tried 100 bourbons, and you know, I did the whiskey road multiple times. I took people on it when they came into town. That was pretty exceptional.
One of the most flavorful whiskeys ever. Another one. Good. Cheers. Prost.
That's tough.
Yeah,
That's a tough one.
This, you can feel it.
Yeah.
See, this one, we went down from proof, and this is the one you feel. 109.
I like it.
You don't feel the 115 or 126.
The 115.
That's why this is dangerous, because you don't feel it. And
But
it's
it
like,
is
oh,
so
this tastes
it's
like-
so well rounded. That's nice. This I like, but
Did you ever hear
this I feel.
in the unfiltered ones? Did you know, like, you can get some of the black flakes from the
For
jar?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought I was like smoking crack one day. I was like, clean up my glass and what is this?
No, I'm a little embarrassed about how much I've tried of this and how much I know. People will say, "Hey, have you ever tried that?" I'm like, "Yep, multiple times."
Dude,
That goes with owning restaurants and bars, especially in Kentucky and Nashville. You know what we actually need to do? I'm gonna throw a curveball right here and switch it up a tiny bit. We need to do the tequila train with you down at Jalisco.
So my wife is a huge tequila fan.
Can we
So
take
the
her
last-
on the tequila trip?
She would love it. The last time we had tequila, she got pregnant.
Well, fuck.
I guess it's a little worm. That's a good joke.
We have to do the tequila. That tequila train, you fly into Guadalajara, you take the Cuervo train from Guadalajara to the town of Tequila. There's actually a town called Tequila. We'll do that trip. That
I
trip
think the
is
reason I don't drink
life-changing.
tequila is because we went on this camping trip when I was like 16. I drank a whole fifth of Jose Cuervo Gold, and it was like the sickest I've ever been in my life.
Sure. We've all had that tequila experience.
Have you ever vomited from bourbon? Or
No,
I don't think I have either.
no.
Yeah.
Tequila, 100%. Yeah. I'd love to say it was a long, long time ago, but it was.
What's today?
It wasn't that long ago. Yeah.
So first time we ever met, we were on the same adoption charity.
Yep.
How was adoption special in your life?
My brother was adopted. Incredible guy. Still lives with my mom and takes care of my mom in Florida. I've finally convinced both of them to move to the Palisades to live with me, which is awesome. But a really interesting part of that story, just you'll appreciate this, being an adoption advocate and a huge supporter, obviously. You've been a material supporter of the adoption, Adopt Together, and a huge part of the success of Adopt Together. When I spoke to my brother's biological mother.
Oh, nice.
Her and his sister, biological sister, made the point that my brother is the only male of their family that is not in jail.
Bro, you're gonna make me cry.
Not in jail or dead. Imagine that.
Dude, did you know that it's something staggering, like over 80% of the prison system is occupied by kids in the foster system.
Foster system, yeah. We have a broke world.
We had adopted our first daughter, and then grace of God got our second daughter, and my wife and I were talking, like, I'd adopt 6 more if we could.
So I agree.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. But you adopted your first.
First.
And then.
Yeah. So my wife and I tried to get pregnant for so long, and she always had in her heart to adopt.
Right.
And I was like, why not just do it now?
Right.
Like while we're dealing with all this other stuff. We started in September of 2016. We were matched by December of 2016. January 2017, we found our birth mom, birth dad. She was born in April, and we were there for the birth. Best story ever.
So cool. And then you had your natural child.
From tequila.
Now, because I think there's going to be some parallels between you and my mom, how my brother was adopted.
Is your adopted brother older or younger?
He is 6 months. We're the same age. We're
What?
basically twins. I'm gonna drink this and then wait, and then we're gonna go
We got the
to my
last one,
last
dude.
one. Yeah. So, all right. Edradour. This is the one that I know you have not had.
Never even seen in my life.
All right, so I got this at my last trip to Scotland. I went into a very, very small Scotch retail store at the bottom of Edinburgh Castle. Have you been to Scotland?
No, dude, I want to go.
All right, you're going with me. You
Fine.
can't go without
Fine.
me.
Twist my arm.
So I walked in and I said to the lovely young lady manning the till, give me a Scotch that I've never had. And she said, well, there's a lot of Scotches you've never had. And I said, well, I own multiple Scotch bars, so there's not a lot of Scotches I've never had. And she gave me this. It's only a 10 year, but again, as we've discussed, I don't put too much
The aging
emphasis
doesn't
on aging.
I agree with this. People
Good.
lose sight of that. Yes.
Well, they do, because I think, and not
They get
to
in love
say
with a
it's-
number, and
and
that's all. It's all
it's-
branding, and that
it's
just a
all
number.
branding.
Yeah.
It's all branding. So, got this bottle, absolutely exceptional, and I brought this for you today because you can't get this outside of Scotland. I've even tried subsequently to get it, and to no avail. So this is for you, Bob.
We'll make this to Sean Connery. God bless his soul.
Oh, yeah.
It's been too long. It's been a few months. It was the best Bond, right? And we had this conversation. Like,
Not even comparable. Yeah.
actually, let's rank the Bond guys. Ooh, this is really good. This doesn't even taste like a Scotch.
No,
This is
that's
very-
why I'm leaving this bottle with you.
Holy crap.
I'm leaving this bottle for you, so every time I read in the journal of legal history, the huge settlements that you get, I can say maybe Bob had a glass of this prior to crushing defense lawyers.
I've been taking my mediations in my whiskey room in my house.
Have you?
Oh yeah. This is excellent. So rankings. We'll do 3. Who do you want to play the next Bond?
I'm crushing this. So
it.
there's an incredible restaurant project in London
Okay.
called the Bike Shed, right? It's an individual named Dutch and Vicky. The absolute like salt of the earth, greatest people you've ever met in your whole life, poured their entire souls into this bike shed, motorcycle club in London. Incredible product. We're bringing it to the United States, downtown LA, 22,000 square feet, motorcycle club. Imagine Soho House, but for motorcycle enthusiasts.
Nice.
Absolute state-of-the-art, greatest product to hit downtown LA, greatest product to hit LA. Dutch and Vicky, Tom Hardy, and other people, right?
Man.
I cannot wait for you to come to this. We'll be open April, May. Do you have a motorcycle?
Fuck no. I'm a personal injury lawyer. You think I'm gonna get a motorcycle? I want to get on a scooter. I hardly walk down the street. Won't parachute.
You're gonna want
won't
one
walk
after
down the
this.
stairs.
You're gonna want one just to ride the bike shed. That's it. So that was my long story short to say that Tom Hardy should be the next James Bond.
What do you think about Idris Elba?
I like it. And that's not the name that's been obviously
These are
kicked
the
around.
2 ones. So
Yeah.
I like either one of those. I'll watch anything. But you know what? When Daniel Craig was announced, hated it. Now, love it.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Great. So I mean, I think Hardy would be amazing.
Tom Hardy will be that. I think that will be a next level Bond. Sean Connery was so next level, and look, I was a huge Roger Moore fan. I say Roger Moore. I liked Roger Moore. You gotta remember, I'm like this little kid growing up in Scotland,
Yeah.
and there's this very, very cool American James Bond, right?
Well, where do you rank them? So we'll rank those.
Well, it's Sean Connery. Sean Connery.
He's A1.
Yeah. But there's a
who's
lot,
two?
right? There's
Oh,
Daniel
wow.
Craig, there's Timothy Dalton, there's
Dalton's down like
Roger
3 or 4
Moore.
for me.
I liked Roger Moore, but maybe I like that particular James Bond more than I like
for me, so high for me is Pierce Brosnan simply because.
No, Pierce was dope.
I mean, it was GoldenEye was one of the greatest like movies ever, and maybe one of the greatest video games ever. I could play Raiders Off in the complex, no weapons,
And
you
would
won't
just
get a kill.
crush.
You won't
Really?
get a kill. You won't get a kill. You'll be so humiliated. I had a guy in college lose his car to me. He was allowed to use weapons, and I said, I will not even pick up a weapon.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it was good. It was a
All
good
right,
time.
so we need to play that.
And Dungeons and Dragons.
But we need to play Dungeons and Dragons full campaign.
Bro, we got a whole gaming table where you can digitally load interactive maps into it, so you can
love
put your
that.
character on, see their stats. It's next level shit.
Did you just play Dungeons and Dragons, or did you go full nerd? Because I went full nerd. I went Travelers, Gamma
never went
World,
Travelers.
Warhammer.
So
I went Tunnels and Trolls.
I was heavy into Dungeons and Dragons, like
Yeah.
all the books, all of it.
I went
but
full
I
nerd.
never went further than that, and I think the reason is because I started to like girls.
Yeah. No, I went full nerd. I was cool with the girls.
No, I did all that at the same time.
Girls were
but-
ancillary at that point for me.
But it was funny, like our generation, when I was growing up, it was me, like we were the popular kids, cool kids growing up, but we were the generation.
yeah, see, I
playing-
wasn't.
But it was weird because we were playing it, we were hiding that we were doing it. But it was fun and cool for us.
No, see, we were owning it. I was running around
God.
town, people like, where's my D20? Like, I went for it.
But this is where it should be. Like it should be like full on fucking nerd.
Tell me what you think.
Fuck, you chugged that one? Okay, let's try this.
I got like
might be
overwhelming
Justice
sour
juice.
apple.
Sour apple?
Yeah.
What are you, a nose?
Put it right here. Yeah, put it
What
right
is it?
here.
Is this a trick?
Yeah, no. You want to put it right here.
Okay, then what happens?
Inhale through your nose.
Oh my God. Fucking
Oh,
sour apple.
I got like straight Jolly Rancher sour
What is
apple.
this? Jolly Rancher? I know that's a distinct.
Go for it. Come on. Come on. Really? No sour apple?
I don't like smell shit. It's how I feel.
Okay, like that too.
Yeah.
I don't have any guesses, no. But I'm very curious.
It's Jim Beam.
Really?
Yeah, crab apples.
So one day I got with my wine gentleman, and I said, hey, watch this. I want to show you something. I want to illustrate to you how insane this entire whiskey movement is. I got the 3 guys. I said, hey, we're going to do a whiskey tasting, right? And all 3 of them said, yeah, line it up. Let's go. I said, I'm going to line up 3 different whiskeys, and the whiskeys are going to be different years and different qualities, right? So I said, there's going to be a entry-level whiskey, there's going to be a very fine whiskey, and there's going to be an exceptional whiskey. Sat with the guys, lined up the whiskeys for them. They all tasted them. Now here's the best part about it. There was no 3 whiskeys. There was no 3 scotches, right? There was a garbage scotch, right?
Oh God.
And there was a good scotch, not an exceptional scotch, but a good scotch. And then there was a garbage scotch. So we replicated the garbage. Not only did none of them fail to distinguish that they were tasting the garbage scotch over,
Dude.
but every single one of them placed the garbage scotch over the good scotch.
So that's why a lot of these ones here, under $100.
Can I go back to this? This was pretty exceptional.
Under $100.
Really?
And this is what people don't realize. This is a very flavorful, knock you off your socks. This is something I've never tasted
I'll drink
before.
that with you all night.
Yes.
I'm down with that.
You get fucked up though. So Charles, Lou, thank you for coming on.
Wait, we didn't even do our Robert Burns poem.
What is your Robert Burns poem?
I'm going to say it and you're going to repeat it. To a moose.
To a moose.
Yeah, do you know what a moose is?
It's a freaking animal with antlers.
See, in Scotland, a moose is a mouse.
What?
Yeah, to a moose.
Okay, to a moose. I got a moose in my house right now, by the way, and it is terrorizing me, and it is this big, and I keep putting traps
in your house, and it evades them. They're very sneaky
To
little
a
animals.
moose.
To a moose.
To a moose.
In honor of Robert Burns. We slicket kurin timorous beastie.
We slicken kumran tiris beastie.
Oh, what a panic in thy breastie.
Oh, what a panic, and I breastie. Is the laughing part of this? Or is this joke?
The need nae start away say hasty.
And we need to start a wee hasty
With bricker and brattle.
with Britain and Brattle.
I would be loath
I would be loath
to run and chase thee.
to run and trace thee
With murder and prattle.
with murder and prattle.
Now, do you want to know what you said?
Dude, if this is into like some weird fucking shit, I don't want to know.
You said small, cowering, timorous beastie, the mouse. Oh, what a panic in thy breastie. Oh, what a panic in thy breast. That need not run away so hasty. That need not run away quickly with bricker and brattle. I would be loath to run and chase thee with murder and paddle, with a murdering plow. It talks about Robert Burns turning up a mouse, a little mouse hibernation area with his plow, right? Where he's plowing the fields, and he sees a poor little mouse that has been turned up while he's doing the fields, and the little mouse is now exposed to the winter and the exposure and the cold, and he's saying to the little mouse, we with small, cowering, timorous beastie, oh, what a panic in thy breastie, well, what a panic in thy chest. Do not run away from me, I'm not going to hurt you with the plow.
Dude, that is deep. So I'm going to tell you a poem written by Nomis Trebor.
Do it.
Thank you for coming on, Charles.
I'm gonna guess it's
We
not
drank
how it-
all of these whiskeys.
Right,
We loved them.
yes.
I knew. And Nomis Trebor, you guys can write that backwards. That is Robert Simon. So, Charles, thank you for coming on to the Bourbon of Proof. I hope we had a proof of life. We did.
We
You had a
did,
good life.
for sure.
You have a good life. And thank you for coming on.